like x plus 2. Like I'm actually just like making this up right now. This is your function. And where will be my vertical asymptotes? Okay, I have to figure that out. But before we figure that out, do you see how I have x plus 2 on the top and bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually simplify that. And we could write this as 1 over x minus 5 times x minus 1.
So in this situation, would that mean there's only like 2 vertical asymptotes, or 2 horizontal, or 2 vertical?
So first of all, there will be 2 vertical asymptotes. When does my denominator equal to 0?
Plus x equals 5 and
5 and
x
x equals 1.
Yep.
Wait, but what about x plus 2? Does that mean like
It just cancels out.
Yes. However, so these are my vertical asymptotes. And guys, but my original function was this, right?
Yeah.
This is a simplified version, but like in reality, when we plug -2 into our function, what do we get?
0.
Undefined, because it's gonna be 0 over 0.
So does that mean there's like a hole in the function? Like,
so there will be a hole. So at x equals -2, you can never ever plug any value into -2 because originally it was undefined. So if you could try to plug this function into Desmos, let's see what happens. So if you can go to your Desmos and see what happens. Okay. So let's see. I'm doing, okay. Oh. Okay, so as we already have figured out, there's a vertical asymptote at x equals 1 and x equals 5. Okay. And let's see what happens at -2. Do you see when you click on -2, what does your function say?
Undefined.
Right. So there's no vertical asymptote there, but originally if I plugged -2 into my function, that was a value that we can never find, like undefined. And that's what you guys did in your 7.4. So there's a hole there. You don't have any value at -2. So even though your graph looks like this, there should be like an empty circle or open circle there. So that's what it means to be a hole. So in summary, when you simplify or when you cancel things out, okay, there's a point that kind of like disappear and you can never find a value there, and a hole appears at any expression that you cancels out. So there's a hole at x equals -2. So this is kind of like the example that we just did earlier with what Elisa asked. Like when you plug in some of the values there, you're going to have 3 different branches depending on what y value you get. So there's a hole there and it kind of looked like this.
Miss?
Yes.
So like if there's no actual constant adding to like the actual, what's called again, function, does that mean we automatically assume that the horizontal asymptote is 0?
It depends.
What?
So
What was this question, Miss?
Yeah. So what Tyler is asking, do you see how we're not really adding any value here?
Oh, okay. I was just like, I got confused.
Right. So we don't have anything. So it kind of varies. But I would just say that you kind of stick to those 3 different scenarios. So here in this case, what's the degree of my numerator?
1.
1.
And my degree for the denominator is
3.
3.
Cubic.
right? So my degree for the denominator is greater than my degree of my numerator. So that automatically gives me my horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. Which is why there are all these function branches that approach the horizontal asymptote, but it just never touched. So there's some really good questions. And in Delta Math, there will be a lot of specific section, like how do you find holes on your graph? So if this is your function, okay, you kind of like learn how to simplify your rational expression. At the bottom, I can factor that out. And if you do that,
-5 and 3.
yep. So you could cancel that out, but when you cancel it, what happens at x equals 3?
There's gonna be a hole. Like there's no value.
Yep. So whatever you cancel, just be careful. It just doesn't disappear, but there's a hole in your function. And your vertical asymptote at what?
X equals -5.
-5.
Equals
Exactly.
-5.
So whatever values you would cancel out when you're simplifying, there's just gonna simply be a hole there.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when you simplify, it will be 1 over x plus 5, right?
Yeah.
However, so when you graph it, right, it's going to look something like this. And
Oh, okay.
at 3, there's a hole. Like it will look exactly same as 1 over x plus 5, except for there's a hole.
So if
Okay,
we were
that
to
makes sense.
like if we were to simplify it and let's say that we canceled out another expression, does that mean that there would be 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So anytime you simplify, there's a hole. That's one thing I want you to keep in mind.
Okey-dokey.
Alrighty. Any other question?
Is it possible they could go into like the lesson that we're doing today, and you could possibly like go over it, like one of the questions in the homework?
I could totally do that, but I do have like 9 minutes because I have like another meeting at like 1-ish
Oh, okay.
with other Algebra 1 teachers. So I could totally do that. Let me just pull it out.
Ms. Wong, how is the test gonna be next week?
You know, that's something that we're going to talk about with other teachers.
There's a test next week?
Well, it's more like
Yes, online.
Yeah.
I just really, it's not a test. I'm not going to, penalize your grade if you do bad. I just really want to
thank
see
God.
if you guys are understanding what you've been doing for the whole week. Because I kind of have to have a feedback in terms of like, what should I do next week? Is this working or not?
Can we
And
just do a multiple choice?
I think I'm going to make a multiple choice, and it's really hard for me to assess because you guys are in your own room, and there are multiple ways you guys can communicate. When you guys are taking class.
I don't need
not
help from
a test.
anybody.
I want to
Me neither.
treat it
Group
as like a
FaceTime.
And
Miss,
also,
I have a question
what
regarding
about the retake?
regarding what?
retakes.
Yeah, I wanted to do
Yeah,
retakes.
I
I'm
wanted
still
to
doing the
do a
retake
retake.
from the unit test. Because like I don't need to, but I was just wondering. It was originally supposed to be this week.
Right.
So are you doing it once we come
Yeah.
back, or if we come back to school?
Right.
Question is if we come back.
Come
I don't
back.
think we're
You
gonna
guys
come
see the
back.
news?
I don't
So
think we're
tight.
gonna
I
come
know.
back.
Yeah, I don't think we're coming back either.
God,
Well,
oh
what
my
do I tell you
God.
guys?
Oh my
11th
God.
grade, miss. I don't think we're gonna see you until next year.
'Cause my friends,
11th grade,
their
yeah.
dad works at
If
LUSD,
we have
and they're
to
like, "There's a
retake
high
all our
chance we're not
classes
coming
because this
back."
doesn't qualify, pretty sure everyone's gonna be mad.
Guys, I don't have answer to any of your question yet because I'm still trying to figure it
We
out.
just bombarded Miss Hall.
I
I know. That was a lot.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Miss Wong.
I will let you guys know as soon as possible when I make a decision, like in terms of like how am I going to assess you? How am I going to give you retakes? And are
What's
we
the test
coming
gonna be
back?
on next week?
Right. I don't know yet. So
Okay.
tomorrow I'm going to like put a link up, like a really short, a few short questions, and it's not a test, but I want you guys to just try it on your own if you can answer it or not. And you know, if you are not able to answer it, then that kind of gives me a feedback like, oh shoot, this is not working. I gotta like try something else. So just be really honest when you answer some of the questions.
Oh, okay.
I feel like this call was very helpful, though.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it
Okay,
was.
It was
so
very
maybe
helpful,
not.
yes.
Call?
I want to do this more often. I just had to kind of like figure it out until today. So I'm glad you guys are finding it useful. And I really appreciate some of you guys answering or asking these questions. And another thing, a lot of you guys weren't here when you guys, or when I was saying this, but on all your assignments that you guys submit on through photos and Schoology, I've been actually reading all your work and like commenting. I've been drawing and I've been commenting.
God.
So if you don't have any notification turned on, if you can change it so you can get a notification every time I make a comment or every time I give you a feedback. So
Wait,
that'll
if
be-
you can read our work, can we write like little notes on our work showing what we don't know?
that no,
Yeah.
That's what I've
actually
been
I did
doing.
answer. I think I answered like William's question or someone. I forget,
Oh,
but I think it was Daniel Castillo's question there. But it might go really easily unnoticed. So if you do have a question, you can write it on your work, but also message me separately. Like, Miss, I wrote you a question on my paper. Can you read that so I can get back to you?
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, also, so for the discussion online, do we all have to input one for a grade? Because you said you have to say at least one thing.
Yes, that was my intention.
Great.
So
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
so
never thought of
am
that.
I set? Because I asked the question.
no, I deleted it, Lisa.
Oh, what?
Yes,
This one, I asked the question.
Miss,
what?
I
That
asked the
works
question.
too.
It counts.
Wait, so you're
Sorry,
supposed to
wait.
like
I deleted that.
give one positive like or a question that's gonna actually impact the discussion, like that type of discussion, right?
Wait,
On
what?
chat.
When was this?
Okay, hold up. So
What?
like you yourself. So what I was saying is, if you have a question, if you get like stuck on a question that you don't know how to do, my intention was for you to take a picture and post it on your Schoology discussion so people can kind of talk about that. So then, based on those discussion questions, you know, I can do a quick video on that. I can address your mistake or misconception. So that was the theory. So as you guys do your work today, like for 7.7 and even for Delta Math, if you get stuck, I want you to post your question up there. So if you answer somebody else's question, then that's just like 4 points in your discussion participation. So I think Elias and someone else answered each other's question in period 5. So just make sure you
I
utilize that.
did.
Yeah. I think it was Sequoia and